Rock and roll. Hey, what's up, everybody? Ryan McGuire from Third Coast Grappling here with my partner Zach Marshall. We are the best 1-2 punch game, or best 1-2 punch combo in the game. This is the pilot episode for Third Coast Grappling, for our kind of podcast that we've been wanting to do that kind of encompasses jiu-jitsu, current events, hot takes, what's going on in our world, and just kind of just something that we can get going. How you doing tonight, Zach?
Doing pretty good, man. I just got done training, doing a doubleheader, doing a takedown class and advanced jiu-jitsu, and I am smoked.
That's
that wrestling class just takes everything out of me.
Yeah, and that's Professor Braden's first wrestling class back, so I'm sure he came back with a vengeance. So it had to be pretty fun. But yeah, I've been sick, so it's like I think this is like the longest stretch I've gone without training probably in a long time. It's been probably 4 or 5 days.
You're probably going to come back like healthy.
Possibly, yeah.
You're going to be fully recovered, and you're going to be, I feel like whenever I take off like a long break, I come back and things kind of connect more that, maybe I didn't see when I'm tired, and because I've been training a lot, and whenever I come back, I just feel like my game is on, because my body's more recovered, my mind's more recovered, and things just kind of connect a little bit more.
And it makes you kind of miss it a little bit too when you're away from it. Like I'm sitting here, like grumbling while I'm laying in bed, nearly dying, watching all my friends check in and train and get to do all that. So it's, I'm glad I'm on the mend. I think tomorrow I might be able to jump back in, but we'll see. So I guess a little bit about me. As I said, I'm one half of the ownership team. Zach's the other half of Third Coast Grappling. Zach has a pretty unique background, military. He's went to the military academy. He has a lot of I'll let him talk. Zach, who the fuck are you, Zach?
Who am I?
Who are you?
Yeah, so I went to West Point, and then graduated, became an infantry officer. Went to Ranger School, Airborne School. Led a platoon in Iraq, and then I went back to Iraq as a executive officer, and then 2013 got out, and been a civilian ever since, and started training jiu-jitsu in 2016.
That's awesome. Yeah. You just recently got your purple belt, same day as I did.
Yes,
it's pretty cool.
Got a purple belt, which unlocks certain techniques that you didn't have as a blue belt, like automatically. It's pretty incredible. Like all of a sudden you have these submissions you didn't have before.
Mm-hmm. It's like magic.
I don't know if not everybody knows that because
they're not purple belts.
Yeah, once they get to the purple belt, they'll understand.
But also the most underrated technique as a purple belt is the ability to skip warm-ups and nobody to give you a hard time really about it. I mean, that is like, I
think you still get a hard time.
Yeah, I do. No, I'm not skipping anymore.
People like to give you a hard time no matter what, right?
I mean, I dish it, so I should be able to take it, right? That's part of the game. I think I dish it a little better than I take it, but, that's for another discussion. But, I'm Ryan McGuire. I'm also a military vet, combat vet. I was in the military from 2002 to 2006. I did Iraq in 2003, Afghanistan in 2005. Went back over as a contractor for a few years. It was crazy, very crazy time in my life. I started doing music. I was in the music biz for a while. I toured around with some of the biggest bands in the game. I've thrown concerts that drew one person. I've thrown concerts that drew tens of thousands of people. So I mean, when it came to show production and promoting and marketing and putting on a show, I was like, well, let's just do music. Let's do my music setup, and then let's plug grapplers into it instead of rock stars and see how it goes. And so far, we're in year 2, and it's things are just picking up. So
what? Just a little bit. So people that don't know the history of Third Coast Grappling, what started this? How are we here a year later? A year from our actual first event. Really, I've seen all those Facebook memory things come up of our first event, and which was Keenan Cornelius versus Tex Johnson was the headline, but which is pretty incredible that we were able to get that level on our very first event.
Yeah, I mean that alone right there. I mean, we signed a deal with the biggest distributor in the game, Flow Grappling, sight unseen. We didn't even have our first event. We were able to bring in, probably the most recognizable face in jiu-jitsu, not named Gordon Ryan, Keenan Cornelius, who committed to us, who came out, did a great seminar with us, sold out show, sold out seminar, and that just kind of started our string of sold out events and big events, and we appreciated Keenan really stepping up and giving us a chance to work with him, basically being nobodies. So that was definitely cool. But what started it was, I was looking for something. I got into, I was getting further along in my grappling, and doing jiu-jitsu, and I was going to these super fight events. And one thing is I'm like, man, if I'm paying $40, $50, $60 or whatever to come out to these events, why am I not having a good time? And I'm a practitioner. Like, I know what's going on. But, unless it's my friends fighting, though, I want to go to the bathroom, or I want to go stand in the, mile-long beer line or something. Like, it wasn't very fun. And I was like, if this is what's out there, I was like, and I'm not being petty or anything, but I was like, we can do better. And, there's different flavors, there's different types of jiu-jitsu, there's different, there's different motivations for people starting their events. There's all kinds of things, just like on the mats. People train for different reasons. People, improve faster than others. People do things differently, but it's still jiu-jitsu. It's still something we all love, just like these events. Now, I might not agree with some of the back-end business stuff, but that's not my business, that's their business. So we went out to these events, and I went to one, and I was finally like, man, like, we've got to do something. And it was, the next day I sent out a message to about 20 people, and, me and Zach had already been working on some other stuff prior, so of course he was my main guy I wanted to do this with. So I sent a message to him and like 19 other people, and we had a meeting at Twin Peaks, and we showed up, and
4 people showed up.
4 people showed up, yeah. 3 people plus me, so.
Well, I mean, more people started coming to the different meetings, like Professor Brandon.
I think he came to the second one. Like,
yeah.
He wasn't at the
so
first
more,
one.
We started getting more people after the first one, but during the first meeting, we started talking about it and saying, when do we think we can actually pull off an event? And we're like, well, we already got the venue, we already got
The date.
and it was January, so let's shoot to that, build something from scratch.
And
Which, if you've never built something from scratch, it's so much more rewarding to start from nothing. You get an idea, and it makes you realize that if you do have an idea and you want something bad enough, then if you just don't quit and just keep going, unless it's literally impossible. Like if it's I play for the NBA and you're 5'4" and 100 pounds. Yeah, but he had some athletic ability. Just because everybody that this 5'4" doesn't make. But I mean, a realistic goal that you can have lead measures that you can track whether you're progressing towards that goal. Then you can do anything except play in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, with coming into the industry the way we did, it was kind of like I'd never done it. Zach, none of us had ever done this, and I think that was a big benefit for us because a lot of these guys have been in the industry for a while. They're jaded. They've been trying to do it for so long, and they're tied down to the profit. They're tied down to money, this and that. And I think if you've been in the game for as long as some of these guys they have black belts and stuff. I mean, they kind of have a way it's always been mentality to where that's all they know. So I mean, that's not faulting them, but it's I think having a fresh pair of eyes. We were fresh blue belts, and we had a fresh pair of eyes on it. We loved the sport. We knew the athletes. I've always been kind of in tune with who the top grapplers are because I was kind of into ADCC and watching grappling events, even like when I wasn't even training regularly. So it was it just took a little bit of research and just jumping in with both feet and trying to make something happen, and using my ability from the music side and using some of my contacts from there for production, for venues, for it just took hustle. That's all it is. And I think a lot of people they'll talk about doing something a lot, but there's only a few people that really do walk the walk, and I think me and Zach have always walked the walk. I mean, on the mats, off the mats, we always show up, we always do what we're supposed to, and I think that's why we've been so successful, is because we're able to put the effort in and do the things that most people aren't willing to do, and in that regard, you get the things that most people won't ever have.
Yeah, so. And it's definitely was not easy, and it's still not easy. No. It hasn't become easy yet, but stuff that's handed to you, you don't appreciate it as much. No,
yeah, I mean, coming in, it was, everybody was against us. I mean, we've made friends, we made friends and frenemies with some of the, like the guys from Kasai have been great. I talk with Hollis Gracie all the time, super nice guy. Seth Daniels at Fight to Win, he's Seth, but he's given me a lot of good advice, through our ups and downs. And then you got guys like Mo Jossam running ADCC, took a chance and was great with us. Hospitality brought us out to ADCC. We got to come out.
Yeah,
and
that was a fun trip.
That was
a
amazing.
great, I mean,
experience all the way around.
Great
Man.
experience, yeah.
And so Mo brought us out, and he brought us out in the middle of a very contentious time in our relationship with our distributor, which could, who was basically, in charge of that event. So for him to still have the backbone to follow through with that, with probably a lot of pressure on him, was a big deal to us. So we brought him out in March and made sure the red carpet was rolled out, because a guy like him, he deserves top-notch treatment, because he's always given. Why not us turn the tables for once and give him something rather than him always be the one that's giving. So, and then in that, our relationship just continued to blossom. He got on board with us for 3CG4. We've got 3+ matches with him that he's came in and sponsored, and just took a card from good to incredible with the extra amount of matches we were able to bring.
Even the first card, how many times did the headline actually change?
Multiple times. I mean, it was like Manuel
Hibamar. We even had, I think Ignacio was
Ignacio at one point, and then I looked at all the old flyers. It was pretty funny. But man, it was.
But Tex Johnson stepped up. He actually had a fight the night before for
a fight to win.
Fight to win in Sacramento, right?
He flew in.
And he flew in right after that flight. No, or was it the next morning?
No, he flew in that night. He got down. It was like 2 or 3. He took the red eye.
Yeah.
Out into Houston, and he came in, threw a gi on.
Yeah.
Threw a gi on with the best gi player in the game.
Right.
I mean, he got scored on by like 30 or 40 points, and I think Keenan. If you see, Keenan used a lot of that stuff, to kind of keep pushing his lapel encyclopedia and to kind of, to make some points on his technique in the gi, against bigger, stronger opponents. Because I think Tex had him by like.
Tex actually had his lapel there for a little bit. I went back and watched the match recently, and at one point Tex was trying to do some lapel guard with him. So.
Well, he hit his head before he got on the mat, so maybe
man, if you go back and watch, go on to Flow Grappling, go watch Third Coast Grappling 1. And see Tex Johnson step up on the stairs and then do a dramatic jump and hit his head on the ceiling. And, you'll see him like kind of turning his neck.
Gave himself a stinger.
Yeah, he said he gave himself a stinger right before he fought Keenan. But, I mean, he was totally game, kept going. But, definitely go back and watch that match. It was pretty interesting.
And don't watch our promos from that time. It's a lot of really bad techno music and really abrasive music. So, we've moved past 2000 era techno in our promos. So I hope you enjoy those.
Hey, go back and watch the original UFC promos.
Oh, man. Maybe we could get Face the Pain and we could just start using that for our music and our promos. Throw it back.
A throwback that when we were talking to Jake Shields, who was on our last event against Homolo, we interviewed him, and Professor Allen, who is one of our commentators, brought up the promo video between Jake Shields and who was it? It was
who was it?
One of the best middleweight in the world, like George St. Pierre. Yeah, it was George St. Pierre, and he was like looking at the newspaper of George St. Pierre. And it was like Linkin Park was playing in the background, or not Linkin Park, I think like Fort Minor.
Yeah, Linkin Park's spinoff.
Yeah, and it was. I actually went back and watched it. It is a pretty cool promo.
Man.
They like walk past each other and like in the hallway, and they kind of like look at each other.
That was an awesome match, man. Like Jake Title. I mean, that guy has been to the peaks of the game, both grappling and he is the nicest fucking guy on the planet. Like, he's not very nice to roll with, not very nice to train with.
But on that too, like when you see him roll against Cub Swanson in that quintet, he just held him in that reap position. He did not.
Like Cub turned out of it, and that's like goes to, I kind of went back and forth with Gordon a little bit on this today, or about taking, because athletes or fighters are going to say, hey, I'll do anything, any rules, whatever. Like they just want to fight. But it's up to us as a promotion that if we want to, because if the UFC could have stepped in and said, that's it, no more UFC guys, no more.
They actually talked about it on Joe Rogan, as Joe actually said that UFC fighters should not do it because of that. And Eddie Bravo was like, don't say that, you'll ruin it for us.
But no, I agree with Joe, and that's why when we go in and we do these rule sets, like I take a very collaborative approach. Like with Bo and Gordon, I spoke with Bo's Olympic coaches. Gordon, you were there during the rules meeting with John Donaher and all those guys, but we were very close with our athletes on that, and that's what I did with Pat Downey, that's what I did with Nicky Rod, Nicky Rod's manager, Jay. We all went in messages, we swapped around, and we came up with that rule set that, look, I know that Pat may have done a freestyle match on short notice with Nicky, at who's number one, but this isn't short notice, and this is something that we're wanting to do. You want to continue to, bring in high-level, Olympic-level wrestlers or athletes from other sports, and to do that, you got to take away the reaping, you got to take away the leg attacks, because it's a meta part of jiu-jitsu. Like, if somebody's coming in and they're wanting to, have a grappling match, like you saw those matches Gordon had on Quintet and those other ones that ended in like 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Imagine if reaping wasn't allowed. Imagine. Like, it would have been a lot more entertaining, a lot more fun. Instead, Gordon goes out there, he'll hook him in 10 seconds, takes 20 grand, and goes home. Like, it's like, I mean, that's good for him, but as far as from a promoter standpoint and as far as an entertainment standpoint, if we're putting guys that aren't full-time grapplers in matches with full-time grapplers, we need to find ways to even the playing field and to make it safe. Otherwise, the crossover athletes aren't going to come over. And that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, you got to make it fair, and I think we've definitely found a way to make it fair with our rule set. So our hybrid rule set, and make it still fun, right? That's the key. Is it entertaining? If it's so unfair that one person's automatically going to win just because it's their rule set,
it's not compelling anymore. Like,
it's not entertaining.
It's a foregone conclusion. Right. For the Nicky Rod Pat Downey match, we came up with 15 minutes, no overtime, judge's decision after 15 if it's tied. But after that, it's a point for a submission, a point for a back take, a point for mount, a point for a takedown with 3 seconds on the ground, no reaping, no freaking leg scissors, no none of that stuff, and let's just go. And like if Pat takes Nicky down, he has to engage on the ground the same way Bo did. So that's another thing that comes into play. Like, Pat can't just take him down, stand up, take him down again, stand up, and then it's first to 5 points. So I think that rule set right there is going to create a lot of action.
And he gets a point if he gets 2 points if he takes him down.
No, 1 point.
So 1 point if he takes him down, or 1 point if he gets it back. So if you submit, is that a point?
Yeah, it's a point.
But not taking the back?
Well, because if you look at it this way, like, the wrestler's takedown is their version of a submission. So if Nicky catches him on the back and chokes him out, that's 2 points. Took the back and he got a submission, that's 2 points.
Okay.
So, I mean, you have to look at it as from the wrestlers, like, what is their version of a submission, which is a pin, which is a takedown to a pin. So if Pat Downey takes down Nicky Rod and controls him for 3 seconds, he should get that point, and then he have to play the guard play down on the bottom. Nicky submits Pat Downey, who has no grappling or jiu-jitsu experience. Nicky has a little bit of wrestling, but the methodology behind it is the submission is the same as the pin in wrestling. So that's kind of the way I went with it on that. But I mean,
I wonder what kind of strategy they would go for. I mean, Nicky Rod, if he's good, let's say he's got some good wrestling, so he's probably got some good takedown defense too.
Yeah, I mean, but
how many times did Pat take him down in the freestyle?
It wasn't close. I mean, in the freestyle match, it wasn't close. I mean,
but he had to pin him in the freestyle, or
right, he took him down. I think it was like freestyle open rule, so it was like. It was to a pin or whatever. I think he took him down like 3 or 4 times, and one was like a big backward suplex.
So if he takes him down though, he holds him for 3 seconds, then they stand him back up.
No, he has to engage on the ground.
So how does he get his takedowns?
Because we're going to use the jiu-jitsu standard for takedowns. So he takes him down and he controls him on the ground for 3 seconds. It's a point.
Yeah, I know, but how can let's say he takes him down, but he can't stand back up, he can't get any more takedowns.
No, I know. He has to try to pass. He has to try to do that. That's part of the game. He has to try and pass. He has to play jiu-jitsu. He has to pass Nicky Rod's guard. Nicky don't want to be on the bottom, so if he gets taken down, he's going to be scrambling straight up trying to get on top anyways. So it's not like Nicky Rod has a damn guard.
So it's almost like if he just lets them submit him, then they can stand back up.
Pretty much.
Because if he submits them, they stand back up?
Submitting starts back on the feet. So it's going to be compelling.
And it's first to 5, right?
First to 5 points, yeah.
So if he takes him down, and then Nicky submits him, he lets him submit him, then they stand back up, he takes him down again, he would be the one.
2-1.
Unless Nicky's getting points from the passing.
From the pass, like Nicky only gets points from mountain back.
Oh, mountain back.
No side control, no passing,
okay.
no. Because that's not something that Pat does on a daily basis. So if he gets to Pat's back or mounts him, which is a big deal for a college level wrestler like that, then if Nicky gets his back and choke, can you imagine that? Like, gets down to his back, chokes the guy out. Man, that'd be crazy. That's kind of what he's done.
Yeah, and then the match is not over. Like, keep going.
Yeah, like stand back up and let's go. So it's going to be compelling. We're trying. This is like a sandbox. We're going to try different stuff out. We're not going to be holding, this must be the rules, and this is IBJJF, and we've got to do all this stuff, because it's our fucking show. We're going to do whatever we want to do, as long as it's entertaining.
Yeah, that's the whole point. And that's what I would say. Like, nobody would become a professional football player if it wasn't, if it didn't pay. And why does it pay? Because it's entertaining. People will pay to watch it. And that's why I actually get, like, I don't like watch gamers, or I'm not a gamer at all, but I get why people are entertained by watching gamers, because it's the exact same thing as like being a grown-ass adult and watching grown-ass adults play a game of football. Like, you understand what it takes to do that and how skilled it is, and the strategy. So it's entertaining to you. Just like if you know how hard it is to play Call of Duty, you might find it entertaining to watch somebody that's really, really good at playing Call of Duty, and that's why that's starting to blow up too.
No, definitely. I mean, that's going to be a great match. That's our number 2. That's going to actually, I believe I'm going to put Lucas versus JT Torres as our co-main, and we'll have Pat and Nikki. But the card's so damn stacked. It's like we'll recap more of that next week. But let's jump into the kids event.
Yeah, this weekend we got the kids event. This is our first kids event. It should be a lot of fun. I mean, since the beginning, we did a couple of kids matches, or I guess not kid. I mean, under 16 matches on our first event, and they did really good, and it was very entertaining.
And they were exciting. I mean, it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. But the environment that we wanted to have for our big card events was more of a party, and
adult environment. We don't like people aren't going to let loose and take shots and get drunk with their team if they got their kid running around and stuff.
And if you've been to one of our live events, it is a party. So that's what we want the atmosphere to be fun for, not just, you're sitting there quiet.
But for your family and your friends, because like what I've had more grapplers come up and tell us is like, man, before I wouldn't even tell my friends or family about this, because they're like they'd come out and be like, what is this gay shit? Like, what are you doing? Like, we're not ever coming back to this. And now they're like, man, I tell my parents, I get excited, like they're coming out to the show, they keep asking me when the next one is. That was our goal from day one, was to bring over the people that don't even train. The people that are coming to the show to support their friends and family that are competing on the card and want to keep coming back and that actually enjoy themselves. Because that's how you continue to capture, new people to the sport. I mean, and every time we throw an event, I'm going to join a gym, I'm going to do this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah, but we still know that there is a market for kids grappling, and we didn't want to just extend, our events. One of them went really long, but we've kind of gotten the kind of number
down.
Yeah, we've gotten the number down to where it's manageable to sit there.
Well, I don't see how people will throw like 40, 50 matches on a card.
That's the thing, is we don't want to do that. We don't want to be like, all right, who's next?
It's like the Walmart.
I got to go through 50 matches by the time I want to watch the card, the person fight that I got there for.
And that's why the UFC model, which is kind of how I build our cards. I use an undercard and I use a main card. But my twist of that is I try to make the undercard just as compelling as the main card, because there's a lot of local storylines like that Josh Walker, Niles People match. Real heat. Like I try to find, and I think that's the difference between us. A lot of matchmakers will go and they will just say, all right, well, we got 200 applications for this event. Oh, wait, they're in the same weight. Let me email them. Boom, that's a match. Where me, my obsessive ass, I'm like, oh, wow, man, that's a great idea. I'll put stuff out on social media. I'll look around. I'll look at rankings. I'll read articles. I'll read Reddit. And I just try to get a good feel for what's hitting these days. And then, I go for it. A lot of matches that people get blown away that we made are just a matter of just going for it and asking. You can, all they can say is no. How many times I've gone to Lucas or somebody and been like, hey, what do you think about this? And they're like, dude, are you crazy? I was like, what? It doesn't, I'm like, what? I gotta ask. Like, Homolo asked him to fight Marigali. And he thought I was like making like a personal assault on him or something. Like, he's like, what are you trying to do to me? So that's like his favorite thing, is like, these guys aren't biased. He's been trying to make me fight Marigali. Like, these guys just want to make good matches. So I thought that was pretty cool. But going into the kids event, shout out Mr. John Bailey, the great Mona Bailey's father. He's kind of like the godfather of kids jiu-jitsu in Texas. And he's been a great fucking help to us in getting
which is another thing I think we've done to get us where we are now, is we definitely leverage a lot of the network that we have, and we've built a big network of people that are in jiu-jitsu that have a skill set that they want to use, and we bring them in, whether it's video, photography, kind of anything. Like we like working with people that are into, even our DJ, like, since the beginning, Scritch, he does jiu-jitsu too.
He's a white, the thing that makes it special too is I was able to leverage some of my music contacts. but also, bring in people that, were just, we definitely had to go through some people and figure out who not to work with, but by doing that, it kind of thins the herd. You kind of cultivate your circle, and you know who you can count on, and I know without a fact, no matter what, rain, shine, whatever, Hosanna Rule is going to show up. She's going to take badass pictures. She's going to take care of us on the media side. I have no doubt, and those are the kind of people I need on my team. I know for a fact that you are going to always show up. You're always going to do what you say you're going to do, and we're always going to have each other's back no matter what. I know for a fact that Lisa, our fighter relations girl, is going to kill it. She's going to bust her ass. She's going to be great at what she does, and that's the kind of trust that we've been able to build, on our, the core of our team.
Yeah.
So that's big. I think you've got to be able to trust the people and enjoy it. Because I read an article recently on Jiu-Jitsu Times where Seth was like, hey, I lost like half of my staff, and now it feels more like I'm having to run a business and just doing some stuff with my friends. And that's good, but I don't ever want to lose that. I don't want to ever lose it to where we're all not able to just, where people just become employees. I want us to always feel invested personally. At least that's what I try to bring everybody in and keep them involved. From our MCs, Oliver, to our commentary team, Alan and Brandon.
Our sponsors.
We try to
promote our friends and local businesses. I mean, that's been a big thing since the beginning,
Yeah, and service. I mean, with the the scholarship fund we're going to be launching, and we'll get more news on that next week. But let's jump into the kids thing. Can you scroll down a little bit, Zach? I'm going to do like the last part of the fights, the tail end. So coming up, there's one that stands out right there. Sebastian Oyervides. He's actually going to be on Flow Grappling's Who's Number One, February 8th. So it'll be kind of a warm-up for us. He's fighting with Rafael Belmares. It's going to be a great match. Sebastian is one of the top kids in the country, has been really making some noise.
Oh, Brody Banks is back, too. He was on our first event.
Yeah, Brody, Liliana is,
Lily was on our first event.
Both of them fought on our first event. So they're back. They're ready to put on a show. Lily is a year older, a year wiser. Same with little Brody. They're all kind of hitting their...
if you had like a kids match like this, like say 10 or 15 years ago, you definitely would not see the level of jiu-jitsu that these kids nowadays have. It is incredible. Like, they are going to redefine like what a black belt is.
No, because they're already some of these kids. Like you look at Mona Bailey or Marco or some of these guys.
10 years of training before they're even a blue belt. Like it's going to completely change. Like, what it takes to like be a black belt.
You can't. It's either gonna get watered down to where everybody's gonna be a black belt, or the standards are gonna increase to where you're gonna have to be.
I think it's just more black belts are just gonna be getting beat by these kids.
Well, we see it in the gym all the time, man. Like, one of my favorite stories is when I first started training. Zach was, I think, a 3-stripe white belt, and I had just started at Gracie Baja, Texas, and
the story is allegedly.
So I walk in. I'm not gonna say any names, but. I walk into class and we're doing the training, and I'm on the wall and I'm like, there's this white belt down there that has a black belt in a full out bow and arrow choke live training. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And it turns, I saw the We Defy patch or the Mission 22 patch that he had, and I was like, all right, he's a vet, cool, that's all right, cool, we'll talk. But then I saw him choke the black belt out, and I was like, hold on a second, like, is there a glitch in the Matrix? But then I started to
read. That hasn't happened since.
It happened yesterday for me. I'm just kidding. But no, it's just kind of an anomaly. You got black belts that have been hobbyists. You got black belts that train once or twice a week. It's different goals. We're young.
Today we had 8 black belts on the mat. Like, how many gyms can you just be like? And that was like, we don't have as many today.
Yeah, we're under 10. Sorry, guys.
The level of training that we get is pretty incredible.
Well, people ask all the time, and I like going to these other gyms and visiting and doing that, but I'm like, why am I gonna drive past the best gym in Texas to go train somewhere else?
You know what though? There is something, like, sometimes I've traveled to either San Antonio, and I've gone to Professor Fabiano's gym.
She's great.
I've gone to New York and trained, and went up to Matt Serra's place. I was in Savannah and went to Surge BJJ, Michael Surge.
Uh-huh.
And each one of those, and Alex Balding?
Yeah.
He was actually teaching that night. So he taught a few things.
That's pretty
it was
cool.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, I love cross training. Like when I got to go out to California and I got to train with Keenan and DJ Jackson at Studio 540, got to train with Homolo, got to train with
But what I was saying is, like, when you go outside of your normal, like, what you're used to, I think it's like sticks, because every one of those places that I've traveled, I learned something there that
100%.
I use all the time. And I think it's just because your brain is firing at a different level because you're in a new environment. and you're gonna pick something up rather than you go into the same class every day, so you're comfortable. So you might not like pick up that technique that week, or you might train it, you drill it, and then you never use it again.
But it's stuck in your mind because it was a memorable trip for you.
Yeah,
it just kind of sticks out a little
so
bit.
I do see value in cross training at other gyms if you get the chance, but not make it a habit to where you're like every week I go to a different gym, but taking the opportunity that if you are traveling, reach out, and what I've noticed is every single gym that I've gone to, they've absolutely let you in with open arms,
super
and
nice.
They'll friend you on Facebook and like message, it's just cool because you're building that community.
Yeah.
Which that was even before the Third Coast stuff, so it's even. Oh, El Paso too. El Paso's got a really good Gracie Baja gym.
Yeah, Frisco.
Yeah.
Out there.
Oh yeah.
But like on the other side of that though, when it comes
Professor
to
Jeff
when it comes to actually like your home gym and training, I'm a big believer in you need to be loyal to your team. You need to be loyal to your school. If you're
especially if you're a competitor.
Yeah, especially on that end. Even
if you're complete. I mean, if you're a complete hobbyist, I don't know.
I don't buy into all this like tribalist, like I've got to. Excuse me. This whole.
Ryan's been sick for like
That's
he's
terrible.
on his deathbed. Which seems that he gets injured or sick every fight week.
Yeah, it's not good, but at least I'm not hungover for this one. It's a kids event. It's gonna be great.
I don't know. Cowboy fights the night
Oh,
before.
at your house, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to see. I'm gonna be drinking some kombucha, some water. No, but on that other side, I think being loyal to your, because like I don't buy into like I said, the tribalist. Oh, I'm Alianse or I'm Gracie Baja. No, I'm a student of Professor Dracolino and Professor Brandon Mullins because that's what I know. Like, I mean, that's what I do. I pay my monthly fees to Gracie Baja, Texas, and I'm all for it. But when we're doing business, we are Switzerland. I don't care if you're Gracie. I mean, the Gracie Baja guys get madder at me than anybody because, like, they'll name drop somebody or they'll try and do this. I'm like, I don't care. Like, did you apply? Did you do anything? Did you try to be on a qualifier event? Have you done anything other than ask me to pay you thousands of dollars and fly you in to come fight for us? Like, where is the give and take in this? Just because you know my professor. You know how many black belts Rack has? Like, over 500.
Yeah,
So like, I talked to.
I thought it was 1,000.
Or it probably is, but yeah, I mean there's not a way to cut the line anymore because there's plenty of people in
No,
line.
you can't. I mean, we don't want a Gracie Baja promotion. We want a jiu-jitsu promotion, and that's why I think we do a good job of separating. Even though I'm wearing a Gracie Baja hat, but I think we do a good job of separating.
It's his cult symbolism. You gotta watch out.
I actually just really like the hat.
No, it's a nice hat. Like every time I see it, I'm like, it's pretty nice. If my big head would look good in it, probably not though. But moving on, Baby Tackett is making his debut on the kids.
Little beast.
Little Baby Tackett, who took out Lisa, our fighter relations gal, when we were out there at Brazilian Fight Factory.
Calling her out, telling her.
Hey, I'm sorry, Lisa, but
it's just he's like a. I mean, he's got some wrestling experience, right?
Yeah, Baby Tackett is stepping up against Josh Ecker. He's the kid he's fighting is really tough too. So that's going to be a great showcase. We've done a lot of work with the Tacketts and Steele, Professor Rodrigo, and we've done a lot to really help elevate those guys. Because I'm telling you, not only are they great people, but they are some of the best practitioners in the game, and they just needed that little push. And I'm glad that we were able to help launch them this past year and work with them the way we have. We just got bigger plans coming up in 2020 with those guys. So, going to be a great match. Tiffany Butler is another Brazilian Fight Factory. She's also the IBJJF medal girl. So if you don't know, she's the one that's always giving out the medals at the IBJJFs and all that. But she's also a world champion, a pan champion. She's won it all at the kids' age. So her versus Sadie is going to be a great match. Tiffany always brings it, high energy, very athletic. It's going to be a great match. Another one that we worked hard on is Marco Vasquez. Shout out Mike Trin, that's one of his sponsored athletes. Marco Vasquez versus Joaquin Carrasco, who's they're both world champs. Joaquin trains under Bruno Bastos, great guy. Professor Bruno, shout out. And we made the match. I mean, there were some stipulations over weight that we had to get around, but we got it done. You know, if there's a will, there's a way. I'll make a deal with my dead grandma if it's gonna put asses in the seats, so I don't care. And then the main event, Mona Bailey versus Isabella Barragan.
So, which is Mona is also a 3CG alum. She won
our qualifiers,
which basically allows her to be on the main card, the 3CG 3 card. with Gordon Ryan, but she wanted to be headline
The kids, right.
which is pretty awesome.
Her and her family are great. Mona's she's going to be a legend by the time this is all said and done. With her her philanthropic work, with her sick chick fight gear and her alopecia stuff that she does. Amazing kid, amazing role model for kids coming up in the game. If you wanna learn how to be a good jiu-jitsu practitioner at a young age, look at Mona and just follow what she's doing.
Yeah,
she's doing it all.
Very active competitor.
And Isabella and her have fought before multiple times, but it's been close. I think tit for tat, 1-for-1.
So this is actually we had somebody drop out.
Yeah, so trying to matchmake Mona is like trying to matchmake for Mike Tyson. Like, it's like nobody wants to fight her.
Where's Buster Douglas?
Yeah, let's line that big can up and let her knock him out. But no, it's going to be an amazing card. Like I said, shout out John Bailey.
Do you want to talk about the rules maybe for what's the kid event?
Yeah, I mean the kids rules I wanted to keep kind of in a way similar to our regular Third Coast grappling rules. So I mean, a lot of submissions generally are not legal under IBJJF, but we are going to allow straight arm locks, chokes with the kimono, Kimura, Americanas, rear naked chokes, arm triangles, guillotines. We want kids submitting kids, not in a bad way, but like it's exciting.
Well, I mean that's the whole point, right?
It's going to be exciting.
Even with kids jiu-jitsu, you're teaching them how to submit. You're teaching them how to win.
And it's just going to warm them up because we're also. I mean, certain matches, we're going to put them on the big cards. We're going to allow some of these outstanding, performers to come to the big stage on the flow grappling.
Yeah, I mean, our vision for this is that, these kids show their talent, work their way to get to a certain age to where then we can put them on the qualifiers.
It's like a jiu-jitsu farm system kind of.
Yeah, put them on the qualifiers and they get the chance to now compete to be on a main card with the Gordon Ryans or the Marigalis, or the Keenan Corneliuses. Those are where they're going to get the most exposure.
Yeah.
Those are going to get, and another reason why, for this first one, we wanted, we could find a distributor or utilize a distributor for this, but we want to make it open to where anybody can watch it on our YouTube channel, so that people can see the level of these athletes, and so. Go to our YouTube, watch it. We'll live stream it on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
First match is at 2 p.m. this Sunday.
Excuse me, guys. Sorry. One more thing on the kids' rules.
Yeah.
5-minute matches with 3-minute overtime. We're going to use our rule set for that. First to 11 or submission only. 5-minute matches instead of 7. And, no slamming, of course, and jumping, pulling guard. But that's kind of the kids' rules rundown in a nutshell. And no, not Nagi, but we will. I mean, if a kid wants to throw down all subs legal, I'm all for it. I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking.
They both have to agree to it. The coaches have to agree to it.
Get your developing ACL shredded.
Actually, the parents need to approve it.
Hey, they're sending kids off to war at 17 with their parents' signature. So if we want to let kids heel hook each other, hey, why not? I'm just kidding.
These kids aren't 17, so.
I'm just saying, whatever. But I guess, yeah, I mean, Kids 1, it's going to be Sunday. Weigh-ins are at Urban Air Adventure Park, which is a really cool venue. They've been very gracious enough to allow us to partner with them to host our weigh-ins because we here at 3CG, we like to do cool location-based weigh-ins. We don't want to just throw a bunch of people in some like hotel convention room and, have everybody sitting there with their shoes off or their socks smelling and just, it's no fun. So we like to make everything an event, everything an experience, and that's what we're going to do with Urban Air. You're going to have kids riding go-karts. You're going to have kids flying from the ceiling. You're going to have the weigh-ins going on. It's going to be a spectacle for the kids. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's from 2 to 4 p.m.
Are you kidding me? I went to Urban Air and I had a blast.
So did I. I had a great time.
Like I was slam dunking. I was like doing under the leg, behind the back dunks.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? I felt like such a pussy because I couldn't do a backflip. I was like, I used to do backflips in my sleep.
Zach, you're like 50 years old. Like, what are you doing backflips?
I feel like in my mind I'm like 16, so I should be able to do a backflip on a damn trampoline.
I feel 16. I feel 16, but I'm not trying to backflip.
Maybe because I know the consequences if I land on my neck. I'm like, all right, no jiu-jitsu ever again.
Well, yeah.
See AJ after I break my neck.
Yeah, shout out AJ Vasquez, always putting us back together.
Which we might be producing one of his podcasts here soon, so that's in the works too.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, a kind of jiu-jitsu health and wellness kind of podcast.
Very cool. I think he would do great. He's got a good voice for that sort of thing. So
actually, he's going to be here after we finish. So we can show them the place.
Really awesome. Well, I'm going to move on to we got the I'll touch on the qualifiers briefly. January 31st, 2 brackets. Purple belt females, 116 below. We got women flying in from all over the country. Same with the brown belts, some of the top brown belts.
And this is our second all-women
Second
bracket.
Yeah.
Which we had a blue belt back bracket, and it was awesome.
It was super exciting.
Super exciting matches.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
The girls don't care.
So I'm excited to see even a higher level, with the purple belts here and see what they got, because this is gonna be cool.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. So yeah, that's it for in terms of
January 31st. So that's Friday for the qualifiers.
Friday night.
Right. So Thursday night would be the weigh-ins.
No, we're gonna do same day weigh-ins.
Oh, same day weigh-ins.
Because we don't want to have to drag people out 2 days for that. So we're working smarter, not harder here, people. So we're trying to.
Well, and since it's not as specific, it's a kind of an open weight under a certain amount, so it's not as much like. It's not as bad as having to weigh in 2 minutes before you get on the mat, like an IBJJF tournament. So.
Well, yeah, I agree. Well, let's move on to a little segment we're going to start doing called Making the Match. We've had some requests for people like, man, how are you making these matches? How are you doing this? What's the story behind it? So I figured I would pick a couple of matches and jump into the process and what went into making it. So I think I'll go with the Lucas Valente versus JT Torres match. That one was really interesting because, I've been a fan of JT's for a long, long time, and obviously I'm a fan of Lucas's. I've trained with him daily almost, and he's been very instrumental in helping my game. But he's also, I believe in him 100%. He's an animal. But I also believe in JT. He's another animal. So I knew to get this match done, JT he's a 2-time ADCC champ. He's not just gonna jump in bed with anybody. So it took some schmoozing on my end, persistence, and we were finally able to get it done after Lucas won his last match. But that match alone, you've got arguably the best passer in the game going up against, in my opinion, the best guard in the game. Keenan has a good guard, but it's been passed. Margali has a good guard, but it's been passed. All these guys have great guards that have been passed, and I think, I've never seen anything like Lucas's in terms of, watching sport jiu-jitsu and what he does. So I think the stylistic match was just too much, and I knew we had to get some clout under Lucas's belt. So we made sure he had some good matches with Third Coast. He's won everything that we've thrown in front of him and by submission, except for the Marcio Andre match. That was a decision, but I felt like he dominated that where he needed to, and it was a good match. But reaching out to these guys, Lucas is actually stepping up in weight almost by 20 pounds to take this at 175.
Yeah, and I've heard from multiple people. Tex Johnson told me. Gordon Ryan said it.
Yeah.
Keenan said it. Keenan says it in his lapel encyclopedia that he had to come up with the lapel guard.
Stop the big guys.
To stop JT. Because he said JT, because they were at Atos, and he said JT would just had his number. He couldn't do anything because he was so strong. So he had to come up with the lapel guard to go against JT, which is pretty incredible. So let's see that strength.
Well, Gordon even said recently on Instagram that he just did some training with JT at the Modolfo camp. Shout out Mojasso.
Yeah, there was actually, I saw a picture of them.
And they asked Gordon, is this guy, for his size, that is the strongest guy Gordon said he's ever trained with.
Which, Gordon's pretty strong. So.
But you wouldn't even feel like Gordon when he's strong. Like training with that guy,
Gordon's training against Nicky Rod too, who's a strong guy. So I don't know if JT is stronger or just knows how to utilize his strength to be so effective that it just feels like he's the strongest person.
Well, if you look at his base and his posture and the way he is, he does a lot of leg drags. He does a lot of just chest to chest pressure passing, and that's kind of like an old school passing style. He's had more success in no-gi than he's had gi. He's only won silver at Worlds, but same with Lucas. That's why I was another selling point. I'm like, Lucas just won silver. Yeah, JT's never won more than,
which was a pretty even match. That could have gone either
I thought Valente potentially took it. But.
Yeah, well, my thing is Lucas had him in his guard, and he wanted to keep him in his guard, and so he was successful at that. Lepre wanted to pass his guard, failed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them did what the other one didn't. One of them succeeded and the other one failed. So I thought, and Lucas did at least one submission attempt. So I thought that's why Lucas should have got that.
But, I agree.
what do they always say? It's the most cop-out thing ever, but it's like they'll leave it into the judge's hands. But, I mean, come on. These are the highest level. Of course it's going to be.
Did you see that match, though? I mean, it was cool, but that was boring.
If
If that was on our stage, they would have been like stalling calls left and
It
right.
wasn't boring for us. Remember, we were watching at your house?
It was cool for us.
So we were training
in the garage.
Ryan's garage, and we stopped to come out and watch the match. And we watched the Kanatu fight.
Canuto and Lucas.
and
Lucas beat us.
And we were like going wild. And you filmed us watching it, and we looked like such losers because we were wearing gis in his living room watching
jiu-jitsu.
watching Worlds. I was like, man, this is not a good look. It looks like
We're gonna get memed up.
It's like watching football and putting on
shoulder pads.
Putting on jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, but the jiu-jitsu way. You're putting on gis.
Gracie Baja gis. What's up? Nah,
Yeah.
but no.
That's how we show support. We put on our gi to watch Worlds.
But you know what I liked about JT dealing with him and his team is they did it professionally. It was like, hey, this is my attorney. Hey, this is this. Let's talk through this. Let's work this. Here's some red lines. I like that. I like it when it's like, let's work through the contract. Let's make sure everything's on the up and up. And I like that professional, because we're professional like that. We send contracts. We expect them. I mean, some of these guys don't even sign and send them back. Like, I say it all the time. Like, I'm like, this is the most amateur professional sport at the moment that there is. Because there'll be guys like the day of the event, oh, I didn't sign my contract. I'm like what? Like, oh, I don't know the rules. Can you tell me? No. Like, it's been on our website. We sent you like 8 emails. We have a rules meeting, and you're going to complain that you lost because you didn't know the rules? Like, please take that shit somewhere else. Like, nobody wants to
all
hear
the time though, and not just our. You see people getting confused by the. I think you remember. It was an EBI. No, it was a Submission Underground.
Yeah.
And they were doing EBI rules, and it was, Jeff Glover, and he won the first round, and he was like celebrating, and then they're like, okay, now it's the other guy's turn. He's like, wait, what? And he didn't realize that they got a rebuttal, and he lost. I think because he was like mentally
broken
that he thought he won, and then he had to go in, and he even said like, yeah, I guess I should have. Know the rules going in.
Well, like with rules, I cannot even. I'm not even I mean, I compete, but I'm not like at these guys' level. I cannot imagine going into any event or rule set tournament and not knowing the fucking rules.
That's how you win. Like
it's a game. You got to know the rules of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would think. It's like playing chess and being like, I'm just gonna move this piece over here.
Or using the checkers instructions for the chessboard.
Right. Why can't I move it there? That's not
how you play
the rules. Yeah.
It's just going to be more and more communication on our end. I think making the athletes sign the rule sheet and do certain things to relieve us of any obligations. Be like, you signed it.
You know what the most frustrating thing was the misinterpretation of our rules, or our first rule set. So we had overtime, and we wanted, instead of like EBI, which maybe in another podcast we'll talk about. We had a long discussion with Eddie Bravo about why he came to his rule set, which is legitimate. But what we wanted is, instead of just being able to practice a spider web or on escape from the back, we wanted to make it to where
they're doing actual jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you could be in any jiu-jitsu position. And so basically they flip a coin, and whoever wins gets to pick either their position they want to start in, or whether they want to start in top or bottom. So if they pick top, I want to start in top, the other person can say, I want to start in guard then. And then they would start in full guard, and the person, or if he said, I want to start in guard, the other person can say, I want to start on bottom, or I want to start on top.
Exactly.
So
there's tactics to it.
Yeah, there's strategy, right? Like how, when you choose to receive or defer, and it was just way too ambitious. And people are tired. They're confused. They didn't go to the rules meeting.
Roberto Jimenez versus Pedro Mourinho. Hey, back. Pedro.
Top.
Because you know what, Pedro? Shout out Pedro Mourinho. He's been ride or die with us from day one. He's always easy to work with. Always shows up prepared and ready to fight.
So he knew the rules.
He knew the fucking rules. And Roberto competed for us before. Knew the rules. He's been there. He was in no, he didn't go to overtime.
No,
it was a tech fall.
Yeah.
But he picked back, and Pedro started on his back and choked him out.
Yeah. So I mean, there's strategy in the other person picking wrong too. So we actually got some advice from Professor Dracolino gave us the advice is like, hey, just make it. And we did see we had one match where it was a different rule set, and that was Craig Jones versus
and I did not like having to change that because it was changed last minute to be more ADCC. And I guess it was good for Craig, but it
did get in our mind like, hey, maybe somebody could start in standing. That's one of the positions that they could start. And if you're really good at takedowns, then you would start standing. So,
Taylor Rashuris, she did that with Vanessa Lopez in our last event. It went to overtime, and Taylor was up, and they were like,
she's a fucking wrestler.
A shithouse wrestler. Like
whoever's up on. So we said, okay, then instead of just stalling during regular time, because you have to get 11 points to win. Let's say you don't get 11 points, but you have you're still aiming to get the most points, so you can choose what position you start. And there's only 3 positions you start: standing up, bottom guard, full guard, or top full guard.
And that's it.
So there was actually one match in the last one that I was kind of confused on why they started. They started an open guard.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
There was I remember where I was kind of confused. I was like, why are they starting an open guard?
Maybe the guy's legs were tired and he just opened his legs. I don't
know. But so you whoever's up on points gets to pick standing, and his first points or submissions after that. And so if you're a good wrestler, you get good takedown, get the most amount of points you can in the regular time, so that you can start standing and then take them down.
Yeah, and going back to the Lucas and JT match, those guys are game for whatever. So that's kind of our first peek into making the match. We're gonna definitely have more.
Yeah, I think this is a super compelling match because even though he's got the strong pressure passing, Lucas
is built for pressure.
The most flexible human being alive.
Like, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. It is going to be definitely interesting.
But I want to touch back on the EBI overtime rules, because going back to this is a game and like this and that, I think jiu-jitsu, if you want to keep it pure, it needs to be more to where people do jiu-jitsu. Because EBI, I saw a DVD release coming out, how to train for EBI rules. Like, somebody's releasing a DVD on how to game the system.
If one thing it has gotten a lot of people focused on getting better at escaping back.
But working in bad positions.
Yeah, and working out of an armbar, that it has helped that people evolve into finding better strategies to escape the back.
Look at Craig Jones versus Gordon Ryan when Gordon had that armbar.
But did you ever see Keenan's breakdown on that?
Oh yeah, it was great.
Where he was like, see, his hips are up, so it's not as bad. It's not as bad much pressure.
But did you look at Gordon's face while it was going on?
Yeah, it was bad. But I mean, I think that might have been Gordon's for when he like.
It was the absolutes when he competed. And I think that was like when Gordon was like, all right, this fucker tried to break my arm. Why don't you come train with this? I don't want to deal with this anymore. But no.
Well, and that was right. Was that right before or right after ADCC?
Not this last ADCC, but the one before. So
it was the Finland. Was it before or after?
It was before the Finland one.
Yeah. So Craig made a name for almost submitting Gordon, and then he went into ADCC and destroyed. So people were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
And he's just gone on and on. He's a great guy. Really
also, one of the best athletes to work with if you're a
super great guy. But I guess kind of circling back and closing things out, we're going to be doing this weekly. It'll be myself and Zach, and we may bring in some rotating characters, but we're going to also eventually want to get to doing some interviews with some athletes and getting some people that are friends of the show on here, just to kind of get their outlook on the state of the industry and just kind of go from there. I want to touch on one last thing. Gordon Ryan's retirement. What do you think? You think he's really gone, or do you think, people are
always fighting for us, so he's not totally retired.
Well, people are like, hey, why is he fighting for you? I thought he was retired. I was like, well, he's trying to keep his obligations up to us, but I think here pretty soon I'm going to try and make him an offer he can't refuse, and then hopefully coax him out of retirement.
I think Chael Sonnen already tried that, so if you can pull that off, it would be very impressive.
I think I can pull it off. So, I think Chael shot a little too low on his initial offer. So I think we come through. I know what Gordon wants. He wants exciting matches. He likes the environments. He likes the way we do things. And I think
he's coming back for another event. So that just shows you somebody that's been to them all, and he's coming back to headline another one of our events. That we do put on exciting matches and fun events for the athletes. There's not a lot of places where you get the kind of walking through the crowd. We did that on purpose to make it to where people are patting you on the back. You're getting amped up, and you're center stage, and people are going wild. So
what my biggest thing is when people are like, hey, have you ever thought about using a bigger match, or have you ever thought about this? I'm like, yes, we have a smaller mat for a reason. Like, have you ever stuck
which is not at Scout Bar, but at
our big shows.
At our big shows is the same mat size as IBJJF.
Yeah, and we use that size because if you ever put two lions in a cage where they have a lot of space around them, they're gonna walk around each other. They're gonna run. You put a couple of lions in a cage where they have to get down to business, it's game over.
It's just like the UFC matches that
big
have
and
a smaller
small
cage, so
more finishes, and I'm big on that. Like ours, we're over 80% submission rate at all of our events, like over.
Oh yeah.
Like if you want submissions, if you want high energy, if you want excitement, you come to Third Coast Grappling. Spend your money wisely because I'm telling you, we keep our prices competitive. We're cheaper than everybody else. We're more exciting than everybody else, and we put on better matches, in my opinion, than anybody else. And we're not competing with everybody else. We're competing with ourselves. But it has to be said. If you want to be the best, you have to take risks and you have to do things that others aren't willing to do. That's what we're going to keep doing at Third Coast Grappling. You want to close it out?
Yeah. So welcome to the Third Coast Grappling podcast.
Bitch.
Each episode we'll talk about kind of techniques we're talking about. Excuse me, current events in the jiu-jitsu area.
Speaking of current events, did you see that display of the engrossment of the impeachment articles against our president? Like, you had 8 of the worst Democrats in the world walking down with pins on metal pins on a placard, and they're walking into the Senate hallway I'm like, this is gonna get dismissed in probably a week or two, and then he's gonna win his re-election, and you're gonna look really stupid. I don't understand all this hoopla.
And with that, we will wrap up.
Sorry for the political talk, but on our notes it said current events in the world, election, sign stealing scandal.
If you follow Ryan, he's a starch liberal, so
super liberal.
So
hide your guns. I'm coming for them.
With that, have a good night, and see you later.
It wasn't bad. What do you think?